Today, whitewashed stone cairns dot the landscape beneath the rocky peak of Isandlwana. They mark the graves of hundreds of British soldiers. The question is how a largely spear-wielding African army managed to annihilate a heavily armed industrial superpower here in 1879. This map shows the political boundaries of southern Africa in the 1870s. The British controlled the Cape Colony and Natal, but they wanted to unite all the rival white and black groups under a single British authority, a policy known as Confederation. Right in the middle of that plan sat the independent, powerful Zulu kingdom. Sir Henry Bartle Frere was the British High Commissioner assigned to push this Confederation policy forward. He grew obsessed with the idea that the Zulu state was a threat to British expansion. Without waiting for approval from London, Frere orchestrated a border crisis to justify military intervention. Frere issued an impossible ultimatum to the Zulu monarch, King Cetshwayo. He demanded that Cetshwayo completely dismantle his nation's military and social structure within 30 days. Compliance would mean the end of the Zulu way of life. The king could not accept. Lord Chelmsford, the commander of the British Imperial forces in South Africa, eagerly prepared for an invasion. He was a seasoned Victorian career soldier who expected to face an undisciplined opponent. His main concern was simply catching the Zulus before they could run away. Chelmsford to a trap. He engineered a conflict against a highly organized society he made zero effort to understand. Chelmsford's center column operated exactly like a modern European invasion force. It relied on mature veterans accustomed to rigid formations and concentrated volley fire. Their primary technological advantage was the 1871 pattern Martini-Henry rifle. This was a breech-loading weapon, meaning soldiers inserted the ammunition at the rear of the barrel rather than the muzzle, allowing for a rapid rate of fire. It fired a heavy .450 caliber bullet and had an effective sight range extending up to 1,450 yards. Chelmsford's column required 977 transport wagons and 10,000 oxen. This massive workforce created a severe biological bottleneck. Requiring 16 hours a day to graze, the animals reduced the British invasion force to a crawl, covering barely 10 miles a day. By chaining themselves to thousands of wagons, the British military sacrificed speed, terrain adaptability, and the element of surprise, all to maintain their firepower and deep supply lines. This order of battle for the Zulu army contradicts the colonial stereotype of a chaotic horde, revealing a precise system of designated corps and regiments. The core operational unit was the Amabuto, H-graded citizen regiments composed of youths who had reached 18. Military service was tightly integrated into the fabric of Zulu society. Warriors remained on active duty, living in regional barracks, until the king officially granted their age group permission to marry and return to civilian life. Operating without massive wagon trains, the Zulu Amabuto maintained an overwhelming tactical advantage in mobility. They executed rapid, sweeping maneuvers undetected, utilizing the traditional horns of the buffalo formation, sending fast-moving flanks around an enemy while the center engaged them head-on. This is exactly how Isandlwana was lost. A sluggish industrial supply chain was systematically outmaneuvered and rapidly enveloped by a highly organized citizen army. However, asymmetrical warfare rarely favors the unindustrialized side for long. Following the disaster at Isandlwana, the British Empire poured massive reinforcements into South Africa and adapted their tactics. This map tracks the second phase of the war, showing the converging British columns that ultimately burned the Zulu capital of Ulundi in July 1879, physically dissolving the independent kingdom. Yet the Zulu tactical brilliance left a deep psychological scar on Victorian society. The fact that a citizen army could systematically destroy an imperial column shocked the British public, spawning a romanticized legend. Through dramatic paintings, memoirs, and popular history, the British inadvertently immortalized the very opponents they had defeated, cementing the idea of the Zulus as the ultimate warrior race. A century later, this specific historical narrative was actively resurrected. Political groups like the Inkatha Freedom Party adopted the shields, weapons, and military pride of 1879 to mobilize modern Zulu nationalism during the late 20th century. King Cetshwayo lost his sovereign territory to the logistics of the British Empire. But the tactical masterclass his army delivered at Isandlwana ensured the Zulu identity would survive forever. weaponized as an enduring political myth.